Hello, welcome again to Varsity Sports Live. Tom Neiman along with Jason and Dara as we get late. And we're in October, baby. Yeah. It's time to go.
Rocktober.
Couple games left in the regular season for most teams. What did Beersford do tonight?
Yeah, we don't have Beersford on the highlights tonight because we didn't expect much from them, but they pulled off a pretty big upset. Took out Bridgewater Emory-Ethan, the number 2 team in 11B, and they've been having a very average year. So sometimes it's got to give them some love, even though they're not on the scoreboard.
There were some weird scores tonight. There were some blowouts that you didn't think would be blowouts. The weather played a part.
Weather all over South Dakota, misting in some spots, raining in some spots, foggy in some spots. It's kind of a weird night.
There were some big win streaks on the line in North Dakota. We start the scoreboard with the scores in ND tonight. And Fargo Davies gets to 4-2, an overtime win tonight over Mandan. Mandan drops to 2-4. Bismarck Century came to play tonight. 28 straight wins now for the Patriots as they get to 6-0.
I mean, I don't understand Century this year. They're kind of all over the place, but played maybe their toughest game of the year and actually absolutely dominated.
Keep on winning. Jody's got highlights of that game coming up. Both of these games, as a matter of fact, both of these games as well. As jump ahead here to Lemoore-Litchfield-Marion over Hanson. Cavalier. A win tonight in 9-man as Cavalier gets to 7-0. And, yeah, there we go, back to the top. West Fargo win over Bismarck Legacy tonight, 41-25. Jody's got highlights of that. The Packers get to 4-2. West Fargo Cheyenne is number 2 behind Century. They will host Century coming up in 2 weeks. Cheyenne is still undefeated as well at 6-0.
Josh Hendricks with a big night for the Mustangs.
Bismarck, their second win of the year, 35-6 tonight over Dickinson. No report on Fargo North and Devils Lake thus far.
I have 34-14 Fargo North.
There you go. Fargo South gets their second win, 7-0 tonight over Wahpeton. Jamestown keeps it rolling. The Blue Jays are now 5-1 as they beat Valley City tonight, 32-13. In 11B, Kindred all over Sargent County, 41-6. Jody's got highlights of this one coming up. The Vikings get to 6-1. Oaks over Lisbon, 14-8. Oaks is now 4-3. This was the upset of the night. Hillsboro, the Burros break a 44-game win streak that Langdon-E-M had going. Hillsboro is 6-1. Both teams 6-1 after this game. Jody's got highlights though as Hillsboro beats Langdon area Edmore Munich 28-13. Ned Rose, the Cardinals get to 5-2 as they beat Rugby tonight 19-14. Elsewhere in 11B, highlights coming up of number 1 Beulah as they beat Shiloh Christian. And Harvey Wells County a winner as well tonight.
Yep, they won 45-14 over Grafton. And Lemoore, Litchfield-Marion, Hankinson we already had. And that was all Lemoore, Litchfield-Marion.
A couple other 9-man finals. Didn't quite get to 100, but came close. St. John and North Prairie as St. John gets to 4-3. And Hettinger-Scranton, a 30-22 win tonight over Mott-Regent Wildfire. All right. Again, Jody's got highlights coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. South Dakota tonight. It was a winner in 11B, getting to 7-0 as they beat Woonsocket, Wessington Springs, Sanborn.
This game was close at halftime. We'll have some highlights of just how Winter took over in the second half.
Sioux Valley, this game went back and forth. Sioux Valley beats Elk Point Jefferson. Sioux Valley is now 5-1. We've got Harrisburg over Stevens, 49-25. We'll have some highlights from Rapid City as the Tigers, number 1, stay undefeated. Brandon Valley is 6-0 as well as this game was close at halftime. Brandon Valley a couple scores late, and then the Patriots almost come back.
That's a high-scoring game for Brandon Valley.
Highlights from Brandon coming as well. Roosevelt, our live game here tonight, all over Sioux Falls Jefferson. This game had a lot of intrigue, Jandy. 49-21 as the Riders roll.
Yeah, I can't wait to break that one down. That was tied at halftime, 14-14. Look what the Riders did in the second half.
Game Thursday night as Washington beat Brookings 35-14. Washington's now 3-3.
They were losing at halftime, so we had some second half comebacks at the Howard Wood Field in the last couple days.
O'Gorman up big at halftime against Rapid City Central right now. T-Area ran 42 plays tonight. 9 of them went for touchdowns as they beat Douglas. And T-Area, number 1 in 11AA, they are 6-0 on the season. Pierre 61-7 tonight over Huron. Lincoln Keenholz had how many touchdowns?
Well, let's double check this, but 8 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, almost 400 yards. And a lot of those went to Mr. Merkwin, who had 4 receiving touchdowns on the night. Huge night for the Governors, coming off of a good win last week, but Huron had a good win last week too, and they did not show up.
8 touchdown passes for Keenholz. Yankton shuts out Mitchell 45-0. The Bucks get back to 3-3 now on the season. Watertown shuts out Aberdeen Central. Both of these teams are now 3-3, 30-0 tonight as the Arrows get the win there. In 11A, number 1 Madison stays unbeaten, 40-0 over Tri-Valley tonight. Madison is 6-0.
Nate Rickey, another big night, 110 yards on the ground, 155 through the air.
Weren't a lot of highlights in this Canton West Central game. We will show you the one that there was as Canton won 6-0. Canton gets to 5-1 on this season. Highlights as well from a good one, Vermillion and Dell Rapids. Vermillion and Dells are now 4-2.
Huge lead for Vermillion in this one, and Dell Rapids made it close.
Winner, number 1 in 11B. The Warriors get to 7-0 as they beat Chester tonight. Beat Woonsocket, Wessington Springs, Sanborn Central, I should say. And in 9AA, Hanson, number 1, just get by Chester. This had a little strange ending that we'll show you coming up in a little bit.
Make sure you watch, because this came down to a field goal at the end, and we've got the footage.
Ipswich, Edmond Central in 9AA over Faulkton, a 9B team, as Ipswich gets to 5-1 with the 20-6 win there.
A lot of fun watching some of those games, and here we go. October, teams are starting to heat up, and you have to be healthy and strong going into the playoffs. We've been wondering about this Harrisburg team the last couple weeks. 3 close games in the last 3 weeks.
Harrisburg won by 7, won by 6, and won by 4 last week, but they are still 5-0 going into this game at Stevens tonight on homecoming in Rapid City Stevens. And the opening kick is fumbled by the Tigers, and the Raiders get on it. Jed Jensen hooks it up here with Uriah Glenn for a 16-yard gain, and then Jensen to Caden Nelson, and the Raiders are in the lead.
Raiders are not unfamiliar with these good starts. They've been starting well against teams up and down their schedule, and they get up 7-0 early.
Kind of been the MO for Harrisburg as well. Get down and then make a comeback. Gavin Ross, the Harrisburg running back, had a huge week last week.
Game ball winner.
He had another.
And he can catch the ball out of the backfield. You see it right here. He's just really tough to tackle once he gets in the open field. Ross,
like a boss there. Look at the crowd at Rapid City. This was gorgeous. Jacob Knuth to Caden Tuttle, though, to even it up at 7-7. And Harrisburg starting to get clicking a little bit, because the Raiders on this possession here are going to fumble it up, and the Tigers all over it. And then this on the shot sheet says a great run by Gavin Ross.
Yeah, watch this. Gavin Ross, he's down, right? He gets a little help from his friend. Yeah, you're up, buddy. You're up. You're good. You can push your guy into the end zone now. Nice run by Gavin Ross.
So the Tigers go in the lead, 14-7. And then a little more special teams misery for the Raiders. Bad snap on the punt there. Levi Danielson on it for Harrisburg. 21-7 Tigers. Raiders, though, keeping it close in the first half. This is Jensen. And a big hookup here with Easton Ogle.
Yeah, that's the one thing, this Stevens team, they've got big playability on both sides with some big-time receivers. Didn't punch it in, but Ogle makes a big play.
Yeah, got a field goal out of it there. It's only 21-10 right before half, and then Ross looks like he's going in again, but he fumbles right at the goal line. Raiders get on it, so it's 21-10 at halftime. And then Harrisburg again got rolling in the second half. 49-25 is the final, and 3 more passing touchdowns for Jacob Knuth.
Yeah, we don't have highlights here, but Knuth threw an absolute dime again. Just an amazing long pass play to Lincoln Carlson for a big hookup. Gavin Ross with another huge night, and the Tigers stay unbeaten.
Harrisburg and Brandon Valley still got a date coming up in a couple of weeks. Lincoln out at Brandon Valley tonight. Brandon Valley 5-0. Lincoln just the one loss to Harrisburg, as the Patriots 4-1 coming into this one. And Lucas Slack, really good catch by Dylan Langrock on the back of the football to haul it in there. So Brandon Valley out to a 6-0 lead, but Lincoln comes right back. Tate Schaefer, that's a great throw to Isaac Jarofsky, and the Patriots go up 7-6.
Yeah, they hit their extra point where Brandon Valley did not. That was the difference so far in this one. And then Jordan Johnson He is the Punisher. They've got a lot of good running backs here in Brandon Valley, but Johnson gets those tough yards at the goal line. 2-point conversion, no good. 12-7.
And then Jack Smith with a touchdown as they go back and forth here. Smith does get the signal there, so Lincoln goes back up 14-12. After the extra point is good. 14-12 at halftime. Slack though, right up the middle. Touchdown, Lynx go back in the lead, and they would put some scores back to back here.
Nice little toss. That's Jack Smith who reels one in right at the end of the game. They capitalized on a turnover, got within 3 right at the end of the game, but just ran out of time. That second half with the poor weather really favored Brandon Valley and what they do on the ground. One of the best offensive nights of the year for Brandon Valley.
Jordan Johnson had a couple of touchdown runs. Angel Jershegi had a late touchdown, and the Patriots got it close 25-22. But again, Brandon Valley now 6-0. They are at Mitchell, and they'll play Rapid City Central, and then Harrisburg coming up for Brandon Valley.
On Midco Sports.
On October 21st. On Midco Sports tonight, it was Roosevelt and Jefferson, and people have been waiting for this game because of all the player movement that happened, all the Roosevelt players that ended up at the new school, Sioux Falls-Jefferson. And Tyree Nave had a big first half and a big night for Roosevelt.
He literally plays every other drive at running back. He switches off with Nelson Wright. But every time Nave was in, he made a huge difference. A couple of touchdowns there. And this is what you're going to get from Taylor Ashley. About 2 of these a game. An unbelievable throw to scramble to your left, plant, turn your hips, and make that play to Griffin Wilde.
Yeah, they hit a couple of big ones. It was 14-14 at halftime. And then Jackson Brower to Matt Gehring. This was after a Jefferson fumble. And Roosevelt scored 3 straight possessions there, made it 21-14. It was 35-14. And then Ashley scrambling the other way this time, hooks up with Wilde again, who hauls it in and makes it another 60-yard touchdown connection. But Roosevelt still in the lead right now, 35-21.
And then the fourth quarter started.
Nelson Wright with a touchdown.
Yeah, he takes it 45 yards. Look at the spin and his balance. I mean, just gifted running backs, very different running backs in Nelson Wright and Tyree Nave, but both very gifted. And, man, give all the credit to the offensive line up front. That was a huge hole that time.
How about the Riders tonight against their new rival? As 49-21 the final there. Just the second win of the year for Roosevelt, but they're coming on, Jamie.
They are coming on. One of the best one-loss teams we said coming in. Now one of the best 2-loss teams. Nelson Wright 3 weeks in a row with 100 yards. But we talked to Tyree Nave after the game. Maybe his best performance as a high school running back.
You know, I got to give credit to the O-line. You know, I can't do anything without those guys. Those guys are going tonight. It's created holes for me and Fulman to run through.
Yes, sir! Second.
Keep the gas going, you know. Keep driving the ball. Keep doing what we're doing. You know, we're playing good. We just had to keep the energy up.
Yeah, I asked him about the second half. Like, you guys were tied at halftime. What'd you do? He said, we just kept the energy up, and they didn't let any of the negative energy brew. It was a really clean game on both sides. I didn't see too much animosity. Was expecting maybe 1 or 2 little outbreaks. Didn't really see much. Just a well-played game on both sides of the ball. But Roosevelt, man, when they run the ball, they are good.
Almost 350 yards rushing for Roosevelt tonight. Again, the Riders, they've got Washington coming up next. Jefferson's got Lincoln as they keep playing here in the city of Sioux Falls. Speaking of Washington, they played on Thursday night at Howard Wood Field, taking on Brookings. And the Cats early, Justin Kofeld and Jackson Hoffman to put Brookings in the lead early, 7-0, but Washington comes back. Max Thompson.
Little bobble, but he wrangles it and says, you know what, I'm going to take this myself. Usually he's good for about a 1-yard touchdown. There's double-digit yards in that one for Max.
Tied it up 7-7. Brookings, though, goes back in the lead before the end of the half. Israel Cauldron with a short little touchdown run there. So the Cats in the lead 14-7 going to the third quarter. Then Washington got it going. Thompson to Trig Otten. Did he hang on to the ball long enough was the question there. They said it was a touchdown.
Yeah, they said it's a touchdown. That's all that matters. And, you know, it's tight at that point. 14-14, huge pivotal play. Brookings going for it on 4th down. You saw them put in Aiden Brink at nose guard. They stopped him. And then all the momentum from there went to the Washington Warriors.
It was 14-14 going to the fourth quarter. And then Washington takes over. The Tanai brothers take over. This is Elijah, first of all. And that goes 65 yards.
He's still running.
21-14. And then Blessing Tanai.
Yeah, he's been banged up a little bit this year. You can see it wasn't, he's still working on an injury a little bit, but still very effective.
So it's 28-14, and then Tanai again breaks this one loose for 70.
This is a game where Brookings would get 5 yards after 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, and Washington just hit big play after big play in that second half.
35-14 final, so the Warriors get to 3-3 now on the season after that win, and they've got, again, Roosevelt coming up next week.
It was by far one of the best feelings when you have our home crowd with just about everyone here tonight. The crowd was roaring, and the rain kept some people out, but most of the people from school came today, so it was a great time. And we came out in the second half and we just ran the ball all game long, and we played as a team, so there's nothing else you can ask for.
We saw the teams in AAA, the ones that could run, use that offensive line. We've talked about how good that Brandon offensive line is, how good that Washington offensive line is, how good that Harrisburg offensive line are, and they're the teams in Roosevelt too. And those are the teams that just churn the ball out. And as we get into the second half of the season, that's what wins games.
All right, let's go to 11A, Jandy, and West Central and Canton. And
hey, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Night. I just have to mention, Canton has raised over $20,000 since they started doing this. They auction off these cool jerseys.
Cool helmets, cool jerseys. And not much offense in this game tonight. Canton blocks a punt there. Cale Ask and shall receive a touchdown. Makes it 6-0. And there was no more scoring. West Central driving. Carter Rager, though, with a deflection and the pass defense there for Canton. And then West Central driving again. Picked off by Cale Ask.
What more could you ask for?
Touchdown by Ask and the interception, and that was it. 6-0 between the number 4 and the number 2 team as Canton gets to 5-1.
It was a sloppy game on both sides. I think you'll ask both teams. They didn't play their best. But you know what? You got to find a way to win these games. And we talked to Mr. Ask after the game about how they got it done.
Well, I have no clue who actually blocked it, but it wasn't all my doing. I just saw the ball when I was running because I had to rush the edge, and I picked it up and I ran, and that was the best feeling I think I've ever had playing football.
Those are that little Oregon kind of look.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
unis, but yeah.
Bit on those.
Ask with the touchdown and the interception late 6-0. That's how Canton got it done tonight. All right, Vermillion and Dell Rapids, we'll check that one coming up a little bit later. But Elk Point Jefferson and Sioux Valley, Jason, in 11B. In 11B, winner is 6-0. There's still 8 teams with 1 loss. These are 2 of them.
Yeah, there's a ton of one-loss teams, and all of them could make a claim like, hey, maybe we're worth looking at. And nobody's talking about Elk Point Jefferson. Well, they punched in a couple of touchdowns early and stayed in this one, but Parker Pitts kept answering them.
Ben Swadek a couple of touchdowns early. Elk Point Jefferson had the lead, but Pitts stiff arm it in there to make it 14-12.
How about Damian Danzizen, by the way?
Just before the half, Danzizen here to the 1. And then Pitts will punch it in there. So Sioux Valley's got the lead 20-14 at halftime. Third quarter, this is your man Danzizen, takes it 60 yards.
Let's go.
Wow.
That's quite a play. That is that's the special kind of plays that Sioux Valley can make that a lot of other teams don't have explosive players like they do.
Fourth quarter, though, Sioux Valley up 28-21. Elk Point Jefferson comes right back. Jacob Scarman, 70-yard touchdown catch and run to tie it at 28. And then Sioux Valley works it down the field. And Danzizen again, the final touchdown of the game. And Sioux Valley is 5-1 after the 34-28 win over Elk Point Jefferson.
Keep winning those home games, and Sioux Valley stays with just 1 loss. That's important in 11B. Not a lot of teams continued to have just 1 loss on the night. Looking at some 11B action, we've got Winter taking on Woonsocket Wessington Springs, Sanborn Central, of course. And there's Caden Keyser, Mr. 3 touchdown man for Winter, getting it done. He'll take the pitch on this one. They've got about 3 running backs that they can feature. Aiden Barfus, always finding a way in the end zone, Joey Cole. But that one right there was Caden Keiser, number 6. And he had 3 touchdowns on the day, but they didn't score much until the second half. They only had 7 points early, and after that, in the fourth quarter, they wore down the Blackhawks. Blackhawks do have Quentin Christensen back in the lineup for the last few weeks, and he's made a huge improvement in their running game. Clay Olinger has been able to run the ball, but they just couldn't hang with him for 4 quarters, and that's been the story for everybody in 11B this year.
Winners got 1 game left next week against Miller, Highmore, Herald in the regular season. All right, in 9AA, Hanson and Chester. Hanson is undefeated. Florence Henry is undefeated in 9AA. Chester comes into this game at 4-1. Stratton Eppard was one of your Player of the Week nominees last week.
He's always on that list. He is the man. He is running for over 200 yards almost every week.
Chester up 7-0. Hadley Wallace, though, a little flip here. And works his way in. It's 7-6. Chester in the lead at halftime. And again, this game had a little questionable ending.
It was a defensive battle, though, early on. And these two teams, very physical teams for 9-man football.
Fourth quarter, Jandy. 4th down. Ethan Cheeseman touchdown catch. And they get the 2-point conversion. So Hanson back in the lead, 14-7. Ensuing kickoff. Ryan Benson all the way for the Flyers.
He's their kicker, too. He plays another role in this game, but Ryan Benson, huge play for the Flyers.
Still 14-13 Hanson. About 3 minutes left in the game. Eppard again. Touchdown. Chester in the lead, 20-14.
Hunty.
Hanson, again, another Wallace catch here. Gets him in the red zone, and then a touchdown by Riley Haynes.
They didn't throw the ball all game, and in this last quarter, they magically were able to throw it all over the place.
Hanson's in the lead, 22-20. 4 seconds left. Chester works it back down the field. This is a 30-yard field goal.
For Ryan Benson, who makes everything. Let's look at this. It looks good. The refs do not call it good. I mean, they've got the better view, I guess. It looked good to me. What do you think, Tom?
I don't know. I said no, and then I said yes, and then I said no. I don't know. Hanson wins the game.
Too high. It is too high to tell.
22-20 is the final, so a tough luck loss there for Chester.
Yeah, Chester now has lost to Howard in a physical battle earlier in the year, and now lost to number 1 Hanson. I mean, I still think Chester could be a team to watch in 9AA. They could still get to the Dome. I really think they could.
Yeah, another big game for Eppard. Couple of touchdowns there, but Hanson, as you said, 6-0 now. They've got 2 games left against Canastota Freeman and Howard.
Not easy games. It's the toughest part of the season, and hey, why not get ready for the playoffs that way?
I still don't know if that was good or not, but
let us know. What do you think? Everybody from Hanson, I know what you think, but everybody else, let us know.
All right, Vermillion and Dell Rapids was a good game. We'll take a look at that one maybe a little bit later in the show. North Dakota and Jody coming up next, though, with the highlights of the evening.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Avera Orthopedics and South Dakota State University. Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Time to get to North Dakota. Jody Norstead is standing by, and again, a couple of win streaks, big, huge win streaks on the line tonight in a couple of North Dakota games.
Are you in there?
Right?
Are you in there?
Did you see
I should throw on a helmet, right?
Did you see that field goal we just had?
No, I missed it. I'm
right.
too busy getting all my stuff together. Was it crazy?
It was controversial, and we just wanted you to break the tie. But
Oh boy,
we'll get to it later.
I can't do that. Yeah, guys, it was. You talked about the streaks that were on the line. We thought maybe both of them would go down tonight. Century was trailing Shanley 7-0 at the half. Wait until you see how that one ended up. And then, of course, Langdon-E-M Munich. Check out that Hillsboro-Central Valley lid right there. Congrats to Scott Olson's Burros. You're going to see those highlights coming up. A lot of fun action tonight. We had the West Fargo Packers on our air tonight. Let's go to those highlights. The Packers homecoming against Bismarck Legacy, a matchup with huge QRF implications as the 4th-ranked Packers took on those Sabres. And Parker Nelson, West Fargo's first possession, first play from scrimmage for the Packers. He goes 69 yards to the end zone. Parker Nelson has been tearing it up lately. 400 yards over his last 2 games. Then Carson Hagerly, 60 yards through the air. Just a quiet night for Carson, the new Bison commit, but he gets a touchdown, 13-3. West Fargo led 20-3 at the break. Then Nelson again, 78 yards this time. He goes 272 rushing yards and a new program record to go with 2 TDs. Game ball maybe? Wes Snyder trying to keep Legacy within striking distance, down 27-11 after that touchdown. Then Peyton Jancy to Caden Zapata, 3rd touchdown catch of the year for Zapata, makes it 34-11. Then it's Logan Miller to Joey Bazalski. How about that? I thought that was a touchdown, but Miller cleans it up with a 1-yard sneak, makes it 34-18, 8:45 left. So not done yet, but Dorian Tarley's going to put this game away. He was running physical tonight, a good 1-2 punch with him and Nelson, but Nelson, I don't know if he needed a second punch in a 41-25 victory. 273 yards. Again, a record for Nelson, and Jay Gibson gets his 200th win coaching, by the way, but Nelson, he was a star.
I think the key's just been like communication. Me and Josh, my fullback, he's like, we're talking before the play, seeing where the opening is. Like, we're kind of prejudging where we're going to go before, and obviously you have to feel it out, like, well, the play's going, because like people are gonna switch positions and stuff, but we can like see the hole before. He just leads me, and I just have to cut either inside or outside of him. Receivers are holding it down. My line's giving me huge holes to run through. It's just great team ball.
Josh Ballstead, who was a baller tonight at fullback. Shanley, fresh off a win over 11A top-ranked Jamestown, trying to knock off the #1 team in 11AA and snap Century's 27-game win streak. First drive, Shanley nearly puts up points, facing a 4th and short. But the pitch to John Gores, last week's game ball winner, put on the ground. Century takes over. Later in the first, Patriots defense making a play. Ryan Brynjolfsson jumps in front of the Bennett Bird pass. Remember, Shanley without Michael Rosberg, who suffered a shoulder injury last week, their starting QB. Aiden Devine punches it in here for the Deacons to make it 7-0 at the half. And then you think, what the heck went on? Well, Ron Wingenbach and his coaching staff went on. They made some adjustments like they always do. Just picture Brady Dahl, since we don't have the highlights of the second half, playing out of his mind. He combines for 287 yards, 5 second-half touchdowns for Brady, and the Patriots somehow blow out Shanley to push their win streak to 28 games. They'll play rival Bismarck next week. Minot at #2 Cheyenne. The Mustangs offense has been unstoppable. They've outscored 28 or more every game, and they took control early. Caden Rahr rumbling for 17 yards on the opening drive. Good physical runner, him and Josh Henricks in that backfield. And then that sets up Connor Entz, though, on a 7-yard touchdown run. They've been working him in a lot more lately. Everything was going Cheyenne's way. Even a bad snap on an extra point, no problem. Entz to Carter Menz for the 2-pointer. Mustangs up 8-0. The Magicians trying to get a drive going. Blaze Ferry lets blaze. He was good a couple of weeks ago on our live game. Picks up 21 there, but it was all Mustangs. Grant Workentine calling his own number, running pretty physical. He's not a skinny little sophomore anymore. He's a senior. 37-0 Cheyenne rolls. Josh Henricks had the 3 touchdowns. The Mustangs have now outscored their last 3 opponents by a combined 110-7. They visit Fargo North next week. Davies out of the playoff picture, but still trying to play spoiler for other teams, taking on Mandan in what turned out to be a great game. Tied at 14 in the third. Max Carlson hits Frank for 6. Mandan takes a 21-14 lead. Then in the fourth, Davies trying to extend this game. Still down 7. Dylan Feldner on the QB draw. We're going to overtime, tied at 21. First possession for Mandan. Carlson takes a shot to Carson Jablonski, one of the top receivers in the state, but it's incomplete. Jackson Greff on the coverage. Davies now with its chance. And on the first play, Mr. Feldner, are you kidding me? The walk-off winner for Davies. How about the celebration? Coaches and everyone running over there. 27-21 the final in OT. So Davies, despite being knocked out of the playoffs 2 weeks ago, have since beaten Bismarck and Mandan back-to-back to finish a perfect 4-0 against the WDA teams in 11AA. Something tells me this new format, it ain't gonna last long. Congrats to the Eagles on the win. Bismarck trying to get off the schneid. The Demons have been shut out in 3 straight. visiting Dickinson tonight. Homecoming night for the Midgets. Visitors dominating in the first, though. Brock Fettig, the physical fullback, runs it in, 7-0 in the first. Dickinson ran the ball well in the first quarter, but couldn't finish off the long drives. Here, Luke Mavity, the fullback, rumbling 20 yards in midfield. But the Demons are able to get the job done tonight and snap a 4-game losing streak with a 35-6 win. Dickinson's schedule has been brutal. We'll see if they can get things turned around here with 3 games to go, now standing at 2-4. Here's your game of the night, 11B. Number 2, Langdon-E-M Munich at number 3, Hillsboro-Central Valley. The 44-game win streak on the line for the Cardinals against the last team to beat them, HCV, back in the Dakota Bowl in 2017. Carter Tatro makes it 7-0 Cardinals in the first. Second quarter now, Gavin Mitzel on the option. He's going to take it to the house, making it all tied at 7. Hillsboro Valley ball again. This time it's going to be Riley Olson, the son of the head coach Scott Olson, calling his own number, and watch him get to the edge and get to the pylon and get to the end zone. It's 14-7 Burros at the half, rain falling. HCV shut down the Cardinals on defense. Mitzel rewards the defense with another rushing score. It's 21-7. Langdon in the fourth quarter now, not quite done. Marcus Kingset is going to make a terrific play on this ball. Watch him adjust from the pass from Jager Worley. Whoop! Leaving that defender on his backside. Kings it into the end zone, makes it 21-13 Burros after a failed 2-pointer. Late in the fourth now, HCV driving, looking to put it away. Jace LeShook has the crowd LeShook. The Burros stop the streak at 44 wins in a row for Langdon-E-M Munich with a 28-13 victory. What a run by Josh Kavarchka's team, but it is the Burros getting bragging rights on this night.
No, it's a big win. Did it for all the teams that lost them in 2018, and we just got done. That was the goal the whole week. Figure this out and get the win and worry about next week.
We'll hear from Riley's dad coming up in a bit. First possession of the game here for Shiloh Christian at number 1, Beulah. Shiloh had a couple of big plays, but they lose it on a muffed handoff. Beulah with good field position. You just don't do that. Don't give the Miners any advantage. Otherwise, stuff like this happens. Amari Gilmore does the grunt of the work on the drive, and he finishes it off too. He gets inside the pylon to put Beulah up 6-0, rumbling, bumbling, running over the camera. Move to the very first play of the second. Tricky Beulah offense. Tricks out the cameraman, Mason Melmer. Off the left guard falling in. 2-point conversion fails. It's 12-0 Miners. Beulah, no trouble tonight. They remain unbeaten with the 39-22 victory. The Miners, well, they get Trinity next week on the road. Sargent County at number 4, Kindred. Look at this flyover. That's when the cameraman should get more money than he probably got tonight. Already up 7. Jorgen Swenson tosses one to Chase Miller for a 40-yard touchdown. Chase Miller, good on the radio, good on the football field. 14-0 Kindred. Later in the first quarter, it's Swenson passing to Jacob Hyatt. Check out this pass off the play action. Bing over the middle to Hyatt, who's in the end zone for 6. 20-0 Kindred. At that point, looking to get going here midway through the second. Bulldogs try some trickery. Avery McFarland to Luke Martinson. 60 yards to Ryan Droular down to the 20. So nice play there, but 3 plays later, Kindred recovers a fumble, getting the possession back, and then Trey Heinrich does what Trey Heinrich does. Handoff, 52 yards in the rain. Football in the rain, there's just something about it, isn't there? 28-0 after the 2-pointer. Kindred rolls tonight, 41-6. The Vikings not going anywhere in those polls. Another big night from Trey Heinrich. To the 9-man ranks, number 3 Cavalier and number 4 Mayport-CG, essentially playing for the Region 2 title in this one. After Mayport fumbles the opening kickoff, Cavalier makes him pay. Trevor Hinkle runs in for the opening score of the game. He's popped up on the top performers list multiple times. Later in the first, well, this guy's been on the game ball map. It's Ethan Bergstrom racing in for the score. Remember, Bergstrom won a game ball 2 weeks ago when he rushed for 386 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mayport-CG up 14-6 at that point. To the third, it's 14-14. Bryson Clem to Hinkle. He's in for another score. Cavalier leads 20-14. Later in the third, Clem doing it himself. Look at the moves. Shake and bake. The Red Sea is parted, and Clem gets into the end zone. Cavalier goes on to win this one 42-17. 8-20. The Tornadoes remain unbeaten, hand Mayport-CG loss number 1. Well, here's some good highlights. It's homecoming at Mott-Regent, New England, and Hettinger-Scranton. Oh, they came to town to spoil it. Opening drive after a long Zach Jelber catch. Cole Monolovitz punches it in for the touchdown to go up 8-0 early. That'll make the home crowd happy. Then on Hettinger's opening drive, Connor Andrus rumbles in, tying the game at 8 apiece. Then in the second, Andrus gets it again. Gonna break loose. Boy, running like his hair is on fire against the wildfire. Makes it 14-8. Later in the second, Cade Warbus tosses it to Alex Martinez. How about the one-handed grab? Extra credit? Maybe. 22-8 lead for Hettinger-Scranton on the road. In the third, Nathan Kaufman. This guy's been fun to watch this year for Mott-Regent. Back after he ties the game at 22 with this 62-yard run. He had an 80-yarder to make it a one-score game earlier, so he was hitting all the big plays tonight. Tied at 22 now. Andrus puts this game out of reach. Look at him go. Misses a couple of tackles there. Would-be tacklers from Mott-Regent. And Andrus puts this one away. 30-22 the final for Hettinger-Scranton. A huge win in that region as they improve to 6-1. Let's hear from Andrus after the big victory.
We've just been super physical. We've been flowing really well on defense, stopping everything, and just been out physicaling everyone. It was great. I mean, whole team was just physical. We didn't get down on ourselves when they made some big plays, and we were able to bounce back and push in for the touchdown.
We love getting out to those small towns and bringing you some of those awesome highlights. Great job by Kelly Hetzel getting out there, and good fight put up by Mott-Regent New England, but not able to pull out the victory on homecoming night. Victory goes to Hettinger-Scranton. We have zone coverage coming up next. You'll want to stick around for some of the great comments. Jay Gibson from West Fargo on his 200th win coming up next.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Avera Orthopedics and South Dakota State University.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Time for zone coverage. A little more postgame from some coaches around the Dakotas tonight. And let's get back up to Jody in Fargo. Before you get to that, Jody, we got a question on Fargo Davies. How can they be eliminated from the playoffs?
This new format
already?
So at this new format, there are 6 teams in the West in the 11 AA division and 4 teams in the East 11 AA division. They're going to only have 3 teams from the East and 5 teams from the West. So 1 team out in each division. Well, the only problem is Davies has been so good against the West teams. They're 4-0 against the West teams, but they don't own the head-to-head tiebreaker with West Fargo or Shanley because they lost to both those teams. Cheyenne already has 2 conference wins, so they can't catch them. So Davies is on the outside looking in. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow, but credit to Wayne Weirmeyer and his coaching staff because those players have come out ready to play the last couple weeks, have gotten big wins against Bismarck. And I say big wins, they can't make the playoffs, but it just goes to show you that this new format has some tweaking to be done.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right. Yeah. Thank you for that explanation. It's all yours.
Bet, guys. Yeah. And then, of course, they'll sort things out QRF-wise when they get the 8 teams that are in. So it won't be East versus West in that first quarterfinal game. Big wins. Also want to mention South 7-0 over Wahpeton tonight. We talked about Beulah. Just wanted to bring that Beulah lid into play because the Miners logo is fantastic. How about Jay Gibson tomorrow? So Jay Gibson gets a win tonight. Tomorrow morning, he's driving out to Dickinson because he's being inducted into the Dickinson High Hall of Fame for what he did as an athlete out there for the midgets. Well, he also got his 200th win tonight coaching. So we had to catch up with Jay. And how about this? Brian Sean caught up with Jay inside his pickup because he was already leaving after the game. Take a look.
And I've started to reflect a little bit on my coaching career because I quit teaching last Christmas. So I'm like in heaven. I get up in the morning, walk my dog, and do the practice plan, and I come to practice and go back home and be with my wife. So it's really been good. But the wins, are a testament to all the good kids that we've had in West Fargo. It took me 30 years to get there. So I don't know what that is per year, but I wish I could say I'd go another 30 and get another 200, but I don't think that's possible.
We'll see, won't we? And his football team really getting things rolling right now. Parker Nelson has been absolutely phenomenal the last 3 games. He has over 660 yards in the last 3 games combined. Scott Olson in Hillsboro-Central Valley. How about that win tonight? Snapping Langdon-E-M Munich's 44-game win streak with a 28-13 victory. Here's Scott afterwards.
Yeah, no, we just continue to get better. Get to be battle tested, and then make plays when we needed to. I think tonight we had a couple picks that were big picks, and they were kind of driving. And but it's fun. It was a fun game. This isn't the end for either of us teams, so it's gonna be still a long season left.
So the Burros had that early season loss to Central Cass. All of a sudden, they're starting to roll and looking like maybe the second best team in that division behind maybe Beulah, who's number 1. Jason Lefebvre, the head coach for Hettinger-Scranton. How about this? The way they've gotten things turned around for that program. They had 4 wins over the previous 4 years. They were 4-29 over the previous 4 years coming into this year. 6-1 after tonight's big win at Mott-Regent, New England. Let's hear from the Hettinger-Scranton head coach.
The coaching's been awesome. The senior leadership's been great. The culture's really turned around, and it's not a knock against the kids from the past. They never quit, and we went through some rough years, so it's way harder to keep playing when you're not doing so well than showing up when the wins are piling up. But senior leadership's awesome. We finally got a good football IQ. Guys know what they're doing. We got guys in spots that are playing 2, sometimes 3-year starters now who were playing against seniors when they were sophomores, and now they're playing kids their own age, and it really, really shows.
I really like that soundbite, you guys, because no matter where you are at as a program, that kind of gives confidence to any of those kids that if you put in the time and the effort, you put in the focus and the drive, you can get things turned around. And it's pretty impressive what Hettinger-Scranton has been able to do. And that's a good message for all high school football players and teams around the state.
And for Tom Neiman.
You can get better, Tom. Put in the work.
Trying, baby. And Jay Gibson, good for him, man. Living the good life, that is so cool for him. So.
Yep, retired. He just checks his stocks and bonds all day, and then he goes and coaches football. He's a finance guy, big finance guy. You can talk finance with him all day.
Jody, thanks a lot, buddy.
Very cool.
You bet, guys.
All right, see you next week. All right, back to South Dakota, and the game of the night, really, in 11A that we didn't get to earlier was Vermillion and Dell Rapids. And Dell's coming into this one 4-1. Vermillion at 3-2. Vermillion has been good, really good at times this year. So take it away here,
JD. They played with some of the best teams in the state, but Will Jatan got things started for Dell Rapids right off the bat. They go up 7-0, but Vermillion turned the tides quickly. Here's Jeremy Crow, a 20-yard run, and then they capped their drive with a touchdown by Jack Kratz. It was tied up at 7. No good on that attempt. And it's McKay Sheffield with a huge 85-yard touchdown pass. Somewhere in here.
I think that's your man Crow right there. This is the touchdown.
Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself.
By Kratz. You were a little bit ahead, but all right, now it's tied up 7-7.
No, I gave it away. Here's McKay Sheffield. There's the 85-yard touchdown. And he's had plenty of those this year. He is a big play receiver. And Tom O'Boyle has got this team fired up. Vermillion believing they can beat anybody. Up 14-7. But Dells would try to answer back later in the second. Little Landon Rusink action. Running up the middle. And then it was Austin Henry finding Rusink once again. Look at that nifty little move. He goes in for the 40-yard touchdown catch, and they would tie it up at 14. So still a close game. Somewhere in here, I know Vermillion takes charge of the game, and McKay Sheffield does it again. Sheds his defender, finds a way in, 60-yard touchdown pass this time. They would miss the extra point, but they were still up 20-14. Another big gain to start the third quarter. Stopped just short of a touchdown. They would punch it in on the 2-yard line just a play later to get it done. They didn't convert for 2, but Vermillion on this play is going to take the lead, 26-14. And across the state, people starting to look at the scoreboard and wonder, what's going on there in Dell Rapids? He breaks free for another touchdown run. Vermillion up 32-14. So Austin Henry says, I'm going to take this game and we're going to find a way back into the game. He finds, guess who? Landon Rusink, the big play player. He gets into the end zone, closes the gap to just 13 points at that point. And then once again, Austin Henry finds Landon Rusink. That's been the combination most of the year, and it was definitely the combination late in this game. That was in the fourth quarter, and they pulled within 5 points, but that's as close as they would get. Vermillion goes on the road, pushes their record to 4-2. We're going to get a look at Dell Rapids next week when they play Madison and find out who the cream of the crop is in 11A.
Might find out when Vermillion plays West Central as well coming up next week. One other final is in O'Gorman beat Rapid City Central tonight 61-3. O'Gorman over Rapid City Central tonight. All right, Thursday night, Jandy, Washington was taking on Brookings at Howard Wood Field in Sioux Falls. Game was tied 14-14 going into the fourth quarter. Washington scores 3 touchdowns to pull away and win at 35-14.
Yeah, they really turned the game around and commanded it in most of that second half, and caught up with Ryan Evans right after the game.
And a lot of it came down to just small execution. You know, we had some hiccups in the first half, and it was just basically execution plays and some execution penalties, lining up incorrectly. And we shored that up. We didn't change a whole lot scheme-wise. Coaches just kept calling what we had been calling, but the kids stepped up and executed.
Yeah, they ran the game, most of the game, and managed the game through the pass, just like they've been doing most of the year. Brookings did a good job. I mean, they were answering blow for blow, getting big yards in the running game as well, but in the end it was those big plays by Elijah Tenaya that really tipped the scales.
Washington coming on a little bit, so is Roosevelt. They play each other coming up next week.
That'll be a good game.
Roosevelt looked very good tonight in the matchup against Jefferson, and it was so interesting because of everything that happened with Jefferson, the new school, and the players moving around. The Roosevelt kids going to Jefferson, and this had to be a huge game on the board for Roosevelt, and they come out and they beat Jefferson tonight.
They continued to try to downplay this, but I've never seen Kim Nelson quite as nervous as he was going into this game, and he admitted the same after I talked to him at the end of the game.
I don't know. I was really nervous before the game, and this is a game that everybody in both schools have been kind of highlighting throughout the year, trying to talk it down and everything, and but I'm still really glad we won. I just feel like we needed it really bad. I know they felt like they needed to win too, but we weren't desperate yet, but another loss might have put us there. So we're climbing back out of the hole we dug, and this is the first rung.
I really believe it. It wasn't as much that they beat Jefferson. That wasn't what Kim Nelson.
It was part of it.
It was part of it. Yeah. But I really believe he said that our backs were against the wall. We're 1-4. We just needed a win, and it came at the right time against Jefferson.
49-21. They handled them tonight. Roosevelt with the win there. All right, in 11A, Canton and West Central. The game was not great. It was 2 top 5 teams, but Canton beats West Central 6-0 tonight, so Canton gets to 5-1. Here's Rich Lund.
We take pride in our special teams, and we've been itching to get a blocked punt all year. I think we've had one, but we've come close a bunch of times, and they ran our scheme, I guess you'll call it, well there.
He's not just saying that. They call their special teams the special forces, and they have for years. They put a lot of emphasis on that, and that was the tipping point in the game.
Blocked a punt and beat West Central 6-0 tonight, so Canton still looking good in 11A. All right, when we come back, we got the rundown. We'll also take a peek at the college football action we've got coming up on Midco Sports on Saturday.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
All right, welcome back. Coming up on Saturday here on Midco Sports, North Dakota hosting North Dakota State in an FCS epic matchup. The game starts at 2 o'clock, pregame at 1:30 from Grand Forks. There's UND hockey as well tomorrow night from the Ralph at 6 o'clock. Dixie State is at South Dakota State, also a 6 o'clock start. We'll have that here on Midco Sports as well. Chester, was the field goal good or not?
I still don't know.
People want to know. All right, here's the rundown. We'll see you next week.